I always say knowledge is power. So you have to know your script or your framework by heart. And I have a specific framework that I use, but I call it the ARC framework, where you take them on a journey. And then there's a moment where you then need to feel the emotion, connect them deeply. And then there's this kind of epiphany, the outcome. What is it in it for them? So you have to know your framework. You have to know what journey you're going to take them on, what you want them to feel when they're listening to you. But really the real preparation for me, aside from crafting your script and learning it by heart, is then to get out of the script. And once you know your script, to just remember the key words from that story. Because when you're on stage, and the worst could happen, meaning you freeze, your brain goes blank, and suddenly you're just there and you don't remember because panic took over. And the way I teach my clients to get over that is by remember the 5 key words, the 5 key steps that are going to take you on this journey.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you. Hello, Geraldine. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Hi, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Geraldine, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am a global brand strategist, a breathwork facilitator, and a business mentor. I primarily work with a senior executive, entrepreneur, and I help them scale their business through aligning their energy, their messaging, and their presence on stage and on LinkedIn.
I was going to say that when I was doing a bit more research about yourself, I felt like that you cover many different but interesting areas. So out of those, which one is the one that you enjoyed the most?
To be honest, I'd say the one I enjoy the most is probably the part that involves breath work and energy work, because this is where I really see the immediate shift and results on my client. Building a strategy to build a personal brand or a global brand takes time. And before you get results, there's a lot of things to put in place. But the work that I do with senior leaders on getting them ready for their TEDx speaking gig or to pitch at investors is immediate, thanks to the work that I do. So I think that's probably what I enjoy the most.
And I can imagine it's probably very fulfilling as well when you see, for example, the person on the stage nail it or a successful pitch or something like that.
It's absolutely incredible. Like on Friday, there was a TEDx in London, and 3 of my clients were speaking on stage. And one of them is probably one of the top leader I ever got to work with in my career. She's the former president of Taiwan University. So you can imagine, like a big, big woman, the only woman who has ever been president in this country in a university. And when I started working with her, she actually couldn't speak. Like, she could speak science and what she used to do, but she wasn't able to perform. And I remember the first 2-3 sessions, I was pulling my hair in every direction. And then at some point I said, okay, let me show you. I'm going to show you how to do it. And then she said to me, oh, I see what you want. You want me to perform? I say, yes, I want you to perform. So we rehearse. And then on Friday, when she was on stage, I literally had goosebumps. And now her assistant was here from Taiwan. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry, because she was so incredible. The crowd was cheering and clapping within the first 3 seconds. And I said to her, we have 3 seconds to hook them. So the hook is exactly like on LinkedIn. You have to hook the audience. And within 3 seconds, they were all clapping. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. And yeah, this is very, very fulfilling. Yeah.
And honestly, or if we are realistic, most of us are scared of public speaking and have the fear when you need to speak in front of the audience. So I cannot imagine, firstly, what is it like to step onto the stage, but then be the person who's actually teaching these people. So what is it like for you? Are you someone who's always been comfortable with this, or can you tell us more about it?
To be honest with you, I've been on stage since I was 4. I'm an ex-dancer. So stage is my natural environment. When I was 23, I was a choreographer. So I had a team of around 30, 40 dancers that I was managing every night, and everything else, the sound system and everything. So when I started doing this work, like specifically helping leaders speak, it was initially in the boardroom, on or mastering sales conversation or managing conflict at work for HR leaders. And I never thought I would coach people on how to speak on stage. Like, I'm not a speaking coach. It just happened because I've run a lot of retreats and I've done quite a lot of public speaking in the last 2 years. And then people came to me and were like, can you help me? Can you mentor me to be more confident? So they came to me to be more confident. It was a confidence thing. And so I never thought about it as if I was a speaking coach, first of all, because I'm French. So who am I to help people speaking in English, right? And then it became a natural thing. For me, it was more, I help you be more confident, make an impact. So from the posture, from how to move on stage, from the way you're going to dress, the way you're going to breathe, how you're going to interact and connect with your audience. But for me, it's very natural because as a dancer, you have to connect with your audience without saying a thing. So I got all that experience and that background as a dancer, and I'm bringing into that branding work with my client to be more confident. So ultimately, I don't find it that difficult. I find it very natural for me.
I guess I wish me and the audience, we wish we were in such a position as well.
Well, don't get me wrong. When I am on stage, I am actually really scared. It's really interesting. There's always this moment where before my mind goes blank and I feel I forgot everything and my stomach is making notes and my mouth is dry and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a mess. I want to cry. And then the minute I step on the stage, it's just like, this is it.
Have you got any rituals or advice or steps that you do before to help you to prepare and to nail it?
Yeah, first of all, I always say knowledge is power. So you have to know your script or your framework by heart. And I have a specific framework that I use, but I call it the ARC framework, where you take them on a journey. And then there's a moment where you then need to feel the emotion, connect them deeply. And then there's this kind of epiphany, the outcome. What is it in it for them? So you have to know your framework. You have to know what journey you're going to take them on, what you want them to feel when they're listening to you. But really the real preparation for me, aside from crafting your script and learning it by heart, is then to get out of the script. And once you know your script, to just remember the keywords from that story. Because when you're on stage, and it happened to one of my clients on Friday, the worst could happen, meaning you freeze. Your brain goes blank and suddenly you're just there and you don't remember because panic took over. And the way I teach my client to get over that is by remember the 5 key words, the 5 key steps that are going to take you on this journey. So you can always come back to, oh, this is what I'm talking about. And you come back. So that's one thing. And the second thing is I'm a big advocate of visualization. So I would visualize my speech like every day, like how I walk on stage, how am I moving, me taking deep breath, me connecting with the audience, their reaction, their emotions, and me feeling relieved at the end and feeling happy and excited. And so I literally visualize every step of my speech in my head, rehearsing. So when it happens, my brain is actually familiar and the brain doesn't know the difference between what happened really and what is happening. So visualization is a big thing. And then finally, breathing. If you don't breathe, if you're not able to make pause, like you're going to be out of breath and you're not going to be able to last the cadence. So I always get my client would do powerful visualization, powerful breath work to ease the nervous system, but also to really mentally prepare them in stepping into the next level of themselves on stage. Like it's really like playing character. You become an actor on that stage.
Yeah, like a proper performance.
Completely.
I really like it because when I saw some speeches or some masters, how they do it, and they know how to use pauses between when they speak, it really makes an impact. Because even from my experience, I usually tend to or want to keep speaking because I feel like once I stop talking, people might get bored or, I don't know, just forget or something. But when someone knows how to use it, it can be really powerful.
I actually think purpose are the most important things when you deliver a keynote, because we are bombarded with information and we all have a very short attention span, meaning people, unless they are hooked very quickly, they're going to switch off. And this is why you speak, you need to be very short. You can't go on and on and on. And if it's long, you need to make sure to interact with the audience, to have purpose, to make them participate, to always bring them back to, hey, I'm here. Are you still with me? And this is why you shouldn't be afraid to hold poses. And actually, sometimes powerful pose, people are like, oh, what's going on? And it brings them back into the room with you.
I think also give them time to actually consume and process the information that you just shared with them.
Absolutely.
Who's then, Geraldine, maybe your favorite speaker or inspiration or someone that you learn from?
So it's going to be very, very cheesy to say that. But Tony Robbins is an exceptional speaker. Like, he has mastered the way to connect with the audience, to get you into your body, you just feel something the minute you're with him in the room. Then I absolutely love Joe Dispenza because I do a lot of his conference around the world. So it's really, really powerful. And initially I didn't like his voice. So I hold back for a very long time because I really didn't like his voice. And then I was like, it's okay. I can get over it. And once I got over it, the sound of his voice, I actually really enjoyed listening to him. And then I saw Stephen Bartlett on stage. He was doing the Diary of a CEO in London. And you know what? I saw him, doing his podcast and everything. But I have to say, he was an incredible speaker. He got me to cry on that thing. He is actually an incredible speaker because he keeps things very real, very natural. And that's really what I like about a speaker, that they know how to make you feel.
Yes, emotions. I agree. Other than someone who you feel like you mastered public speaking, or are you also still learning, improving, and trying to improve?
I don't know. I haven't mastered at all. I have a lot of filler words. My pronunciation is very French. I say but you know what? Everywhere I talk, people don't care. They like my energy and they like what I bring on the table. Just to give you an example, I was doing a keynote in France in June in front of 400 women, 400 entrepreneurs. And it was my first ever time doing a keynote in French, and I'm French. But, I've been in London 15 years. All my business is in English. So I was really, really nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't spoken in French in a business capacity for so long. And in English, it's one word, for example, jam and then confiture in French. So you imagine the length of the speech was completely different. So anyway, I rehearsed, I was confident. I was like, and then I was supposed to go there to be on stage at 3, and the moderator decided to thank all the sponsors when it was my time. So, I was mentally ready at 3:00, ready to be on stage. And then she thanked all the sponsors for 45 minutes. So on that, I was like, what? So the stress was rising, and basically it completely shook my nervous system. So when she finally called me to walk on stage, I walked. But suddenly, so there was my music, there was a specific music to walk on stage, and I started saying, hello, everyone. And I didn't realize I was speaking in English to a French audience. And suddenly, when I saw my best friend was in the audience, he was looking at me, he was like, I realized, and I said, so I said to the sound engineer, I said, cut the music. And I said, I'm really sorry. My brain is still in London. Let's do it again. Bonjour tout le monde. But you know what? What happened is that they all thought it was staged. They all loved it. Yeah. Oh, that was brilliant. I was like, that was not brilliant. I actually cocked up, and they all thought. So yeah, I'd say I haven't mastered it. And then during that thing as well, I was sharing the story on how breathwork changed my life. And I'm usually very composed, but I'm quite emotional as a person. And then suddenly, as I was sharing the story, I was talking about a specific moment, and oh my gosh, the emotion came through, and I started having tears rolling, and I cried, and so the audience stood up and cheered me up, and I was like, okay, it's all good, it's all good. Like, people, they don't want you to fail; they just want to understand what can you share that's going to help them feel better, transform, anything. So no, I haven't mastered public speaking. I think we all on a journey, but what I've noticed is that you don't need to master it to be a good public speaker.
It was a really nice example. I was going to say that what you mentioned that happened in the beginning, it ultimately makes it more memorable. And if people laugh in the beginning, I think it helps to set the tone that it's just kind of funnier and more relaxed than maybe formal or too structured.
Correct.
So it was really nice. Are you struggling to stay consistent on LinkedIn? Fan Post helps you create high quality posts in minutes, so you can write faster, show up more, and stress way less. Built by creators for creators. It's the easiest way to grow your presence without burning out. Try it free at fanpost.com. And Geraldine, I wanted to ask you because before the recording, I was reading a very interesting article about yourself. And I always ask my guests to find out more about their background and journeys before where they are now. And in that article, I completely understand if maybe you don't want to discuss it, but you shared your experience, what happened to you when you were younger, when you were 19 or 20. So if you were willing to, would you be willing to tell our audience about this and what happened and how it led you where you are?
Okay. Yeah. So when I was 19, I was studying abroad, and unfortunately, I was assaulted. And so following that, I fell into very deep depression, very, very deep depression. And so the day of my 20th birthday, I tried to commit suicide. And when I was, at the hospital and they were trying to reanimate me, I had a near life death experience. Basically, I saw the white tunnel and I saw my grandfather who had passed away and was the most important person in my life coming. And he was turning the page of a book, but in the wrong direction. So I'm Jewish, so from right to left. And he said to me, "Your time is not finished. You haven't finished writing the book. You haven't finished writing the book." And this is when I came back. And the person on Facebook you're referring to is an incredible man. He's an ex-doctor who actually used to pass the soul. And he reached out to me one day on Facebook. He's in the US. I had never met this guy. And he absolutely wanted to have a coffee chat with me. And I was like, okay, cool. I thought he wanted to work with me. And then straight away he said, "Why are you not saying your story?" I was like, "What story are you talking about?" And he said, "You know which one?" And I said, "No, I don't." And he said, "You've been in the tunnel, you've seen the light." And I was like, "Oh, how do you know?" And then he said, "You have to share your story. You have to tell what happened." And so that was the first ever time I shared my story with him. And then he wrote something on Facebook. And it was very important because actually what happened when I nearly passed away and I came back has actually been the catalyst of me starting having vision, me starting channeling, having very deep vision of what would happen to people, and my intuition getting off the roof. And this happened to a lot of people who go through that. And so I think I had not identified the correlation between all the vivid vision and then my ability to predict things for people. And then when I shared my story with him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why. Like all these people had like me. And when we come back to life, we are given this big gift, the ability to really help people and see for them the future and everything. And so, yeah, that is how the whole embodying and compasses my gift truly started happening.
And did he then say, how did he know, or he predicted, or he knew, or?
No, he was just someone like me. He was just being guided by divine source, call it God, call it the universe. And he had been given a sign that he was to get in touch with me and that I had to share my story. And that post went really big on Facebook, by the way. And to me, it was like a healing experience. It was something I no longer needed to be ashamed of. And actually, in a world where many people suffer from mental health, being able to say that I had really deep depression and that I went through the darkest time of my life and that I came back so much stronger. It was a very, very big thing for me. And so since then, it's part of my story. It's made me, way more, I can connect with anyone, anytime, because I feel I'm owning that part of me. I'm older, obviously, but the mask is gone, like it's out there, it's in the internet. So if it's on the internet, if you want to find it, you find it. So it's really helped me connect with people at a deeper level, I'd say.
I was going to say that although it's something not easy to talk about or not comfortable to share, but I believe, for example, when it comes to LinkedIn, when someone shares some stories from their life that might not be positive, might be a bit different, or something that others are afraid to share, it always stands out to me because someone is, vulnerable, willing to share this side of things, and you never know how many people might have similar experience, might be going through something similar. So I think, as I said, I understand it's not easy to share, but I believe that it can positively impact and help many people.
And you know what? This is really interesting because I can talk about it. I've been speaking about it in closed network, on podcasts. I think it's the second time I'm bringing that up. But I'm not comfortable speaking on LinkedIn about it because there is a side of me that somehow still wants to be private, even though we all share a lot on that social platform. And I think there is a part, I think there's a part of me that is not ready and will never be ready to share that in writing because I have children and I'm not ready. Podcast comes and go. You have to listen to it to get to that specific point. But as a mother, my kids are still young and I'm not ready yet to have this printed on.
I understand. I hope that it wasn't inappropriate for me to bring it up, but because I read it online, I thought that it's something that you're willing to share and that it's okay.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. And if it can help other people knowing that, beyond the glossy images and the followers and the success, there's been a massive crack in my life and I overcome that. So I'm really hoping that some people will watch it and be like, wow, yeah, if she did it, I can do it too.
Yes. And after this experience, is it also when you started exploring areas such as breath work, retreats, and helping other people? Or is it because of that, or were you into it even before?
Yeah, it is because of that, because after, me trying to commit suicide, when I was in recovery, as I was swimming, it was the summer because it was just after my birthday. As I was swimming in the swimming pool, suddenly my leg got paralyzed. So I was swimming and I shouted, "Mom," calling my mom. My legs couldn't move anymore. So they got me out of the pool and I couldn't feel anything anymore. My legs were paralyzed. I was completely disconnecting from that part of my body. And from one day to the next, there was no logical reason. And so they took me to a Buddhist who was also a doctor and an acupuncture. And this is how we started to, it was like, you're not dying, you're not your time, you live. And so he was basically trying to tell me, you try to kill yourself, but you're still there. This is not your time to die. It was like a bit like a mirror of my grandfather. And so bear in mind, I was a dancer. My legs were the most important things for me. And I couldn't walk anymore. And so it really got me into visualizing this part of my body, dancing, walking. And it was all in the visualization and the breath work. And we're talking 27 years ago from now. So it's very trendy today. And people think, oh, Teresa, it's been part of my life for 27 years. Like I didn't just wake up and realize, oh, I love visualizing and I love breathing. Actually, I literally got my legs back thanks to that. And so within, I think, I can't remember, maybe it was 3-4 days, I started having feeling again. And it came back, all thanks to visualization and actually the power of the mind through your body. That's why I'm such a huge advocate. And to be honest, it's science proven. All athletes work with visualization and breath work. There is nothing hoo-hoo or mystical behind it. It is really an incredible tool. And I've experienced it myself at a very early age. And it kind of, that's why I really felt in that part. And it's been very much on my journey ever since. But I literally embodied it in my work. I'd say 2020, 2021.
Oh, wow. That's been a while, I agree. And I think so too, that lately it's been quite popular or more trendy. I agree with visualization because I've seen it many times with successful people, and like to recommend yourself if you have any goals to visualize it. I think I haven't really mastered it much, but I hope that after this episode I'll focus on it more. And when it comes to breath work, I also read a lot about it, but I admit that I don't really use it as much as I should. But for people who want to explore it more, have you got any advice or tips how to start, maybe what to do, and any experience from yourself?
Yeah, so breathwork is for breathing, because we call it breathwork, but it's literally breathing because it shouldn't be work. It's the first thing we do when we come on this earth, and it is the last thing that we're gonna leave. And yet we make it so complicated. Like I see all these trendy, like breathe for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. Yeah, box breathing and all of that. And I'm like, okay. I mean, the brain is already in survival mode, and then you think, I mean, it's just, for me, it's just not a natural way. And I appreciate everyone has their own tools. In everything that I do, I like to keep things very organic, very flow, very simple. The point of breath work is to get you into a natural flow state, meaning a state where your nervous system is easing, where your blood pressure is going down, your heart space is actually feeling safe. And so most people will tell you to breathe through your nose because it's true. It's a much better way to clear at energetic cellular level. But the way that I like to teach my client to breathe is coming from the conscious connected breath work, which is breathing through your mouth and exhaling through your mouth. Why? Because this is the way to really accelerate your neural pathway and to get into beta state where you can actually really rewire this outdated place that you have in your brain. In summary, when you are about to do a pitch or to do a client meeting, and for whatever reason your heart is accelerating and you feel like completely out of your body, you don't control anymore. The easiest way is to uncross your legs, sit down, and literally close your eyes, open up your chest, and force yourself to breathe in and out very deeply, opening up your mouth as big as you can. And literally, I wouldn't say count, do not count. Put a song that you really, really like, that's going to last between 2 and 3 minutes, and breathe through that song until you feel good. Because there is no point in trying your brain to control your breath. It's just literally, if you don't know how to do it, either you find someone who's going to do guided breathwork online, either you experiment by just breathing deeply. And when I say deeply, it's as if you wanted your shoulder to kiss each other. And every time you breathe in, you want your shoulder to kiss each other. And then you breathe out, you exhale everything as if you wanted all the air to get out of your body. And within 2-3 minutes, you will see that your heart rate goes down, you feel much better, and you'll be like, how did I not do that before? This was so simple and so good.
I think listening to the song is actually a great idea, because when I tried it before, I don't know why I haven't continued, but haven't found it, I don't know, that interesting to continue. But if you listen to something you enjoy, it might actually make it more enjoyable. And is it then, Geraldine, breath work like this something that you apply when there is, for example, some kind of event or something happening, or do you do it even like on a daily basis?
So, on a personal level, I breathe every day, because if I didn't breathe, I wouldn't be part of this earth anymore. So, sometimes I breathe not well. Sometimes there you go. And sometimes I breathe in a more conscious way. Like if I find myself in a position where I am myself very stressed, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, it happens every day. I would just literally take 5 minutes of my time. And so I've created my own method called Resistance Breathwork. And I would put some music on and I breathe through dancing. So that's literally breathing through movement, like breathing through movement. And literally in 2-3 minutes, I feel good. Do I bring that to events? Yes, mostly. People book me globally to run corporate events, to work private events on a yacht, to work private parties, or to talk at conferences, seminar, because this is such a powerful, it's just the way I conduct this session is like, it's an hour and this is so transformational that everyone who lived it once book me again. Like I was in June in France, and one of the person in the audience already booked me for June this year in France. So it's an incredible way to reoperate a shifts within an audience and to have them reconnect themselves.
Yeah. And as you mentioned before, that you kind of discovered or started focusing on this years ago, what is it like with people's perception if you compare it to before? I guess it wasn't as known. What is it now when it's maybe becoming more mainstream, or people are more educated, or is it still that people don't know that much about it, or what is it like?
I think this is a trend. I think like yoga used to be, breath work and Pilates are the new trend because people need strength. And they are people who use it in the who mindset word to say that they have actually healed people, through breath work. And they are the real experts who knows what they are doing, who are properly trained, who are going to use breath work in a sports capacity, working with athletes like footballer, rugby player, runners, cyclists, or gymnasts, and that are actually going to bring that tool in their coaching practice. I don't believe breathwork only can be a business model unless you create a program to teach coach how to become a breathwork facilitator. I believe the best way is to have like a Swiss knife, different set of tools as a mentor or coach that you bring into your practice and that you can actually use in order to facilitate a transformation with your own client. Some people would use RTT, which is rapid transformational therapy, which is hypnosis. So people are going to use NLP, are going to use belief coding or Reiki or whatever it is. But I believe as a coach, if you are in the transformational sphere, it is important that you find your own edge, your own thing, and what you enjoy doing and what actually works for you. Because if it has worked for you, you're going to be able to teach it better because you lived it for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And out of curiosity, what's your opinion or what do you think about Wim Hof and his techniques?
I was very skeptical about Wim Hof. I was very skeptical until I think it was it 2? It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I went through a personal event that really crushed me. And I was in fire flight mode. And it was in December. And the thing I cannot stand is the cold. I'm a woman from the south of France. I love heat. I'm close to the Spanish border. Just give me, I know I'm living in London, but give me sun, give me a warm vibe. And as I was going through that hard thing, that horrible event, I was just like, okay, what is the thing that scares me the most? It's cold water. It's cold. I hate the cold. So I said to myself, if I can handle swimming in cold water, I can overcome anything. And so that I had this friend in France who was running a retreat, a Wim Hof retreat in the mountain in February. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So there was a month's preparation where you had to have a cold shower and get your body ready and acclimated. But this has nothing to do with when I arrived there, it was full snow. That was not planned. We were in the mountain. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I remember, so the preparation was Wim Hof, like, and I had never done that. And I was so petrified, swimming in the mountain under the rain, like in swimming costume. I was like, how am I going to do that? And actually, I think what really helped me, aside from the group emulation and these amazing girls I was with to hold our hands and be like, we're gonna do it, girl power. I think this is the breathing. And I remember diving into this water. And actually, I remember when I posted it on LinkedIn, it was the first time someone was posting ice bath on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in swimming costume on LinkedIn. They're going to ban my account. So like, but no, it was fine. But I remember posting it and thinking, oh, what are they going to say? But I don't think I could have done it if it was not for breathing. I really feel this Wim Hof breath work is so powerful. Like it's so, I was in trance. Like it was not myself anymore. I was just, so yeah, to answer your question, I think it can be very powerful.
Yep, I'm happy to hear that. And since then, has your fear of cold water or cold shower disappeared, or you're still not a fan?
No, I'm not very proud. I'm not very proud at all because I did another deep swimming in a waterfall last summer and I managed and I was very proud of me. But since then, I went into one of these fancy stuff in London where you have the ice bath at Soho House and I lasted 3 seconds, not 3 minutes, 3 seconds. And I was like, oh my gosh, all this work for nothing. Like I got in, I felt my bones were freezing and I was, oh, I'm not doing it. So no, I think it's really a mental thing. You have to rehearse and get back into it. So I'm not very proud of myself. No.
No, but it's still impressive you did it before. Well done. And then Geraldine, just to be aware of time, as we'll be finishing soon, I would like to ask you a few kind of lighter questions. So What is it that you enjoy doing in your free time, or what are some of your hobbies?
I think I'm very boring, to be honest with you. I always like to do the same thing.
It doesn't sound like that based on what we discussed.
But I've always liked to do the same things. I spin. It used to be 5 times a week. Now it's 3 to 4 times a week. I do Pilates, and I dance salsa, and I dance as much as I can. And I love watching a good series on Netflix. And I love reading my book. I'm moving away from the spiritual development book. I dive into more story now. Yeah, that's pretty much my free time. I'm a mom as well, so obviously don't have much free time left. And when I'm not a mom, I'm a woman, and I love meeting my girlfriend and going for brunches and traveling together and going to festival and dancing until the sun rise. Oh, so that's one of my things as well. I travel every summer for festival. Yeah.
No, I was going to say that what we discussed, it sounds you do already a lot. So I would be surprised if you had still so much time left to do many other things.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Yeah.
And can you then share some favorite books, whether any recent ones or any that were impactful to you?
Yeah, a book that really changed me was The Obstacle is the Way from Ryan Holiday's.
Oh, wow. Yes, I love that one as well.
It is an amazing book. Really, really changed what I was going through at the moment. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Big Magic from Elizabeth Gilbert. I realize I'm only giving you spiritual development book. From Robin Sharma. What was it? The monk
Who sold his Ferrari?
Yeah, it's that. The monk who
Oh,
sold the
wow.
Ferrari. This one was the monk who sold his Ferrari. This one was a very good one as well. Like it's more story led, but it's also a very good one. Yeah.
Yes, those were some great recommendations. And your favorite series on Netflix?
Oh, now do you know what? Do you know what? It's horrible because I'm watching right now with my daughter The Summer I Turned Pretty. So this is the only thing that's coming to my mind because my mind is blank, but this is definitely not my best series on Netflix. And I have to say, there's nothing coming to me right now.
Or even outside of Netflix, what's your favorite series or movie?
Well, at the time it was Breaking Bad. I just loved the way it was produced. And then it was Money Heist. I think Money Heist was my favorite of all time. Do you know which one it is? The Spanish series?
Yes, I remember it on Netflix.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't stop. Like we were binging until 1, 2 a.m. Like it was probably Money Heist was probably the best one. I was taken away all along. It was beautifully produced. Just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Breaking Bad. I still remember when I watched it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's like 12, 13 years ago, but it's still
wow, good. Yes. And Geraldine, can you please summarize where people can find you, follow you, and promote any of your services?
So you can find me on all my social channel, which is LinkedIn, Instagram. Don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, but if you want to follow me there, just still experimenting. And then literally my work is traveling all over the world for my work. So next year I'll be in France. In June I'll be in France. I'll be in Switzerland already. I'm mostly in London. And potentially, we were talking about it yesterday in Los Angeles. So there's quite a few things in the pipeline. The best way is to join my newsletter. So I don't write a lot because I don't like spamming people. I mostly write when I have something to talk about and to share, which I'm doing right now because I'm doing an event next week. But I'm not one of those people who spam because my work is very deep and intentional. So I only share something when I have something intentional to share.
Quality over quantity. I like it.
Correct.
I will, as always, add any links to the show notes. And then, very last question, is there anything you would like to share before we finish or anything to leave with the audience?
I am just very grateful to have been here. And I hope for those who will be listening to that podcast that they realize that nothing in life is definite and it can literally change anything as long as you put your mind into it.
I think that's great a note to finish with. So thank you so much, Geraldine. I wish we had time to discuss even branding and your experience with LinkedIn, but I genuinely enjoyed it and I feel like we could be talking for much longer. So of course, I'd be happy to catch up anytime in the future again. And thank you so much again for joining me. I wish you all the best and I'll keep following and supporting. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Tomen. Check the show notes for all the links, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your feedback. Speak soon.